The cold rain poured down like needles, blurring the traffic lights into a swirl of red and gold. A woman in a soaked uniform ran down the sidewalk, clutching her bag close to her chest. Her shoe slapped against the wet pavement, her breath coming out in sharp bursts. Emily Parker was late again. But tonight, it wasn't her fault. She had stopped to help a stranger bleeding on the side of the road, his car mangled against a tree. She didn't know that the man she helped, the one she wrapped her coat around and waited with until the ambulance came, would change her life forever. Emily worked as a receptionist at a corporate office downtown. A single mom to an 8-year-old boy named Noah, she lived every day balancing bills, school lunches, late-night shifts, and a little boy who believed his mom was the strongest woman in the world. But strength has its limits, and Emily was reaching hers. When she finally stumbled into the building that night, drenched, shivering, and breathless, her supervisor's glare cut right through her. "You're late again, Emily," he said coldly. "That's the third time this month." "I'm so sorry," she panted. "There was an accident on 5th Street. A man was hurt. I couldn't just leave him." "I don't want excuses," he snapped. "The company needs people who show up on time." And just like that, her ID badge was taken away. Emily walked home in silence, the city lights swimming through her tears. Her son met her at the door, smiling until he saw her face. "Mom? What happened?" he asked softly. She forced a smile. "Nothing, sweetheart. Mommy's just tired." But when Noah fell asleep, she broke down. Rent was due in 4 days. Her savings were gone. And a small voice in her head whispered that maybe kindness didn't matter anymore. Across town, in a sterile hospital room, a man opened his eyes. Bandages wrapped around his arm, his head throbbing. He remembered flashes of that night, a woman's trembling hands pressing on his wound, her voice begging him to stay awake, her coat covering him. He didn't know her name. But he remembered her face, worried, kind, and determined. That man was Ethan Cole, CEO of Cole Enterprises, a billionaire known for being ruthless in business. But now, for the first time in years, he'd been helped by someone who didn't want anything in return. And that shook him more than the accident itself. The next morning, Ethan asked his assistant to find the woman who helped him. But no one could. She hadn't stayed for recognition, she'd disappeared into the rain. Days passed. Emily searched desperately for work, cafes, cleaning jobs, anything to keep her son safe. Every rejection chipped away at her hope. Then, one afternoon, as she sat in the park watching Noah play, a black car pulled up beside her. A man in a gray suit stepped out. "Miss Parker?" he asked. She froze. "Yes." He handed her a card. "Mr. Cole would like to see you." Her heart skipped. "Mr. Cole? I don't know any." "He said you helped him the night of his accident." Emily followed the man to a towering glass skyscraper, the kind of place she used to dream of working in. When the elevator doors opened to the top floor, she saw him. Ethan Cole, the man from that rainy night, stood by his desk, his arm still in a sling. "You," he said with a faint smile. You're the one who saved me. Emily blushed, looking down. I just did what anyone would have done. Not anyone, he said quietly. Thousands of people drove by that road. Only one stopped. Then she told him shyly, almost apologetically, that she'd lost her job that night because she was late. Ethan's expression hardened. You lost your job because of me? She nodded. Please don't feel bad. It's not your fault. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he reached into his drawer and placed an envelope on the desk. I can't undo what happened, he said softly. But I can offer you something better. Inside was a job offer: executive assistant. Double her old pay. Full benefits. Emily's eyes widened. This must be a mistake. It's not, Ethan said. You're the kind of person this company needs, someone who values people more than policies. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "Thank you." From that day, Emily's world began to change. She worked harder than ever, quietly proving her worth. Ethan, once known for his cold composure, started to thaw. They shared quiet lunches, long conversations, and unspoken understanding. He learned about Noah, the little boy who made her world turn and sometimes left small gifts for him: a soccer ball, a backpack, a book. But not everyone was kind. One night, during a board meeting, Ethan overheard a senior executive sneer, "She's just a charity case." Before Emily could respond, Ethan's voice thundered across the room. "She's not charity," he said firmly. "She's the reason I'm alive. And if anyone here can't respect that, they can leave." Silence fell. Emily's heart pounded as she blinked away tears. Later that night, she found him by the window overlooking the city. "You didn't have to do that," she whispered. "Yes," he said softly, "I did. Because you remind me what I lost before I had everything." And just like that, their bond deepened. What began as gratitude grew into quiet, undeniable affection. Turned into months. Emily's mornings were filled with Noah's laughter, her evenings with peace she hadn't known in years. At work, she was admired, respected. Her kindness changed the tone of the entire office. Even Ethan's cold, sharp demeanor softened. But feelings he'd long buried began to rise. He'd spent his whole life believing success meant needing no one. Now, one woman's compassion was making him question everything. One evening, as they stayed late finalizing reports, the city lights glowed through the window. Ethan looked up from his desk. "You know," he said quietly, "I've spent years believing that caring was weakness. But the night you stopped for me, it made me realize what really matters." Emily smiled faintly. Sometimes we're meant to stop not because we can fix everything, but because someone needs to know they're not alone. He nodded, emotion flickering in his eyes. "You've done that for me." Their eyes met, two souls who had already lived through their share of storms. But the next storm came without warning. A competitor leaked false reports claiming Coal Enterprises was going bankrupt. Investors panicked. Employees whispered. The empire Ethan had built began to crumble. But Emily stood firm. She refused to believe the rumors. She stayed by his side every night, helping gather evidence, reassuring the staff, believing in him when no one else did. When he finally exposed the truth, the fake reports, the rival behind it all, he stood on stage and gave all the credit to her. "She didn't just save my life," he said. "She saved my faith." Afterward, in his office, he handed her a small box. "I wanted to thank you," he said, voice low, "for saving me again." Inside was a delicate silver pendant engraved with one word, hope. Emily's eyes shimmered. "It's beautiful." "It's what you gave me," he said. "And I never want you to forget that." From that day forward, something unspoken grew between them. Not a fairytale romance, but something real. At the annual company gala months later, Emily stood on the rooftop terrace, watching Noah show Ethan a drawing he'd made of 3 people standing under an umbrella in the rain. "That's us," Noah said proudly. "Mom says family isn't always who you're born with. It's who shows up when you need them." Ethan smiled, his voice gentle. "Smart kid." Emily laughed softly. "He takes after his mom." The first drops of rain began to fall, soft, quiet, just like the night they met. Ethan took her hand. "Funny," he murmured, "how everything started with a little rain." Emily smiled through tears. Maybe it wasn't just rain. Maybe it was fate washing away the past. And there they stood, a man who had everything but warmth, and a woman who had nothing but heart, finding balance in the middle. Because sometimes, life doesn't punish kindness. It just tests it first. And when the test is over, love finds its way home. For Emily Parker, the single mom who got fired for being late, that rainy night didn't ruin her life. It saved it. Because every act of kindness echoes. And one day, it comes back to you in ways you never expect.